Okay, welcome back. So, we are going over the 5 principles of advertising, stuff to get your mind right about advertising before you even begin to advertise so that you are prepared essentially and not disappointed when something doesn't work in ads. Um, yeah. So, anyways, my name is Voltaire. I run a consulting business out of Los Angeles. And if you want to know more about it, or if you are interested in talking about advertising, go to vfpconsult.com, vfpconsult.com. Check it out, schedule a time to talk, and let's talk about some ads. So, if you recall the last episode, we talked about what advertising is. And if you haven't seen that episode, I highly suggest you check it out before we move on to this principle. Now, we're going on to principle number 2, which is be objective about your ad campaign. So let's say you are ready to invest money into an ad campaign, and your objective, your goal, your target sounds like this. I want to get more, or I want to get as much or as many as possible. If that is true, and that is your target objective, you have already lost the advertising game. I'm sorry to say. You cannot quantify more. You cannot quantify as much as possible. You've got to have a very specific target when it comes to advertising. The money that you're investing needs to yield a return. So you need to have a clear-cut objective of what you want your ad campaign to accomplish. Okay. The first objective to know is this: how many leads do you want to get with your campaign? Now, a lead could be anything from someone leaving you their email, or someone walking into your store, or someone calling you on the phone, filling out an application form. It all really kind of just depends on how your sales process works. And that's a whole different topic. So, marketing and sales, totally different. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, it really depends on how your whole sales process works. So you define what a lead is to you, and then you define how many you want to get through this particular ad campaign. Now, this is an important principle to understand because out of X amount of leads, you can generate Y amount of sales. So let's say you get out of 10 people that apply to talk to you, you get one new client out of that. That's a 10% conversion rate on your sales process. So you have 10 leads, you close one, 10% conversion. Now, with that number in mind, you can move on to the next objective. And one of the first things that I do with my own private clients and the advertising campaigns I run for them is to get very, very specific, and I ask them very specific questions. And one of them is, how many customers do you want to generate with this campaign? How many customers do you want to generate with this campaign? Now, for me to help them in any capacity, I need to know 3 things. Number 1, what's our target? Number 2, what do we want the campaign to do for us? So what's our target? What do we want the campaign to do for us? And number 3, what's our budget? So depending on the situation, I might ask additional questions too, like what has worked in the past, or what's the one thing that has produced the most revenue for you before? Now, all these questions help me craft a very, very personalized plan for each one of my private clients. So these are objectives and principles that you need to know so that your campaign just doesn't suck. Remember, we cannot quantify more. We can't quantify as much as possible. And many business owners and entrepreneurs don't know their numbers before spending on an ad campaign. And then it doesn't work well, or we're not hitting what they think we should hit because it wasn't clearly defined. So they blame the Facebook platform, they blame Instagram, they blame the agency they hired, they blame me. So it's make sure that you know your numbers. Knowing your numbers will put you way, way ahead of the competition. All right. So that is the lesson for today. That's the principle for today. Next video is actually going to be who your ideal customer is. Who is your ideal customer? You need to think about your ideal client before you put a cent into advertising. And I'll explain why in the next video. So stick around for that. If you are interested in any of this in advertising and getting your questions answered, please continue to like, comment, and subscribe on these videos. And if you think for some reason, hey, I think Voltaire kind of knows what he's talking about with ads, maybe he should run my campaign. Go ahead and go to vfpconsult.com, schedule a time to talk. We can talk about your ad campaign, what's working and what's not, and maybe even little tweaks you can do right away to kind of move that needle back and forth. So again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video where we figure out who is your ideal customer.